few days ago, I did a spoof video of a woman at a programming interview who couldn't get the job to save her life.
Thank you, lady.
Well, today we're switching gears up a little bit, and I'm going to be showing you a problem commonly asked at junior development job interviews. And we're going to be going through it line by line so that when you're in the hot seat, you'll be able to solve the problem, no problem. So the name of this challenge is the FizzBuzz Challenge, and it's based on a game that kids play in the UK. Basically, kids get pointed at or bopped in the head, and if their number, each kid is a number, and you go around in a circle or whatever, and if you end up being a multiple of 3, you go fizz! And if you end up being a multiple of 5, you say buzz! And if you end up being a multiple of 3 and 5, you say fizz, buzz! But people are saying around the internet, these hiring managers and interviewers at development companies are saying that the majority of computer science graduates can't solve this problem. And this person has also seen self-proclaimed senior programmers take more than 10 to 15 minutes to write a solution. But let's go to the meat of the problem, and then we're going to hop on the code editor and go through line by line how to code this. So write a program that prints the numbers from 1 to 100. For multiples of 3, print fizz instead of 5, or pardon me, print fizz instead of the number, and for multiples of 5, print buzz. We'll assume also instead of the number. For numbers which are multiples of both 3 and 5, print FizzBuzz. Okay, we're going to be coding this in JavaScript, and what I like to do, guys, these are essentially word problems. When you get these challenges, look, I'm really nervous at interviews, but knowing that it all comes down to being a word problem, I'm going to write it down. I'm going to take some candy notes, okay, and then work from there and work smarter, not harder, trying to grasp onto these things. I'm going to be using skills I picked up in other careers and other skill sets that I use, such as reading and picking out context clues. You can solve a lot of problems just by using context clues in these types of word problems. All right, and we'll just, these will be my notes here. We'll comment this out. And then I like to leave myself some, call it candy code. It's not pseudocode because with problems like these, they're pretty basic, and for me, writing pseudocode, again, this is just for me, you can write pseudocode, the solution in pseudocode if you wish before you solve the problem, but something like this is so straightforward. You're putting all that time into pseudocode. I mean, I may well just write the solution if I'm going to be writing pseudocode, but I will take a few more notes and things I extract from this official problem, okay? So we're in our editor, we're ready to roll. Let's read through the problem one more time, and I am going to be pointing out some context clues. Write a program right away. Okay, we know we need to write a program. Hey, that works. We're on the same page. That prints the numbers from 1 to 100, okay? Prints. What's that in JavaScript? It's usually a console.log, so we're going to console.log 1 to 100. And now this is just my candy code again, because for multiples of 3, we're going to print fizz instead of the number. So the exception is we're going to be console.logging fizz for multiples of 3. And then for multiples of 5, print buzz. So that's another exception. We're gonna, again, it said print, so we're gonna console.log buzz for multiples of 5. Numbers of multiples of both 3 and 5, and that's one final exception. Exception, console.log fizzbuzz for mults of 3 and 5. All right, I'm just getting a little hint here that we're going to be using a for loop. A for loop starts off with 4. And then inside those parentheses is where we put our goodies, is where we define our counter. So going back again to our clues, our counter needs to start at 1. And we're going to set up our counter using variable. We're going to declare a variable. You can name it whatever you want. I is usually the most common convention. I've seen J. You can call it whatever you want though. Oops, not 0, it's actually 1. Go ahead and put a semicolon, and then we want it to stop at 100. So the JavaScript equivalent of stopping at a number is less than or equal to. Sounds cryptic, sounds a little weird, right? But I'll show you what I mean. It's not quite cryptic once I code it out here. So if I is less than or equal to 100, that's what that is. Stop at 100 is basically what this means. But now we're faced with a problem because the loop doesn't understand exactly how to loop through, like by what increment, like by fifths, by 20ths, by 2 by 2, like Noah's Ark. What are we supposed to be doing? We want it to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 100. We want it to increment by 1. And the way you code that is by taking your variable and putting in I, which is again our variable, and then just simply adding 2 plus signs. Now we're going to open up some brackets, good old-fashioned curly braces. Now, the good thing is we have the protein of this already written. And because I was using context clues, I was able to bang out that for loop. Now, something tells me in my gut that this for loop needs to be matched up with an if, else, if type of program. Because if you read it out and read the Candy code, whatever, that's kind of gimmicky. Read my little side notes. You know, the exception is if it's a multiple of 3, it's going to be fizz. If it's a multiple of 5, otherwise, you know, console.log. So if, else, if, and then finally a catch-all statement. That's going to print the numbers that don't fall you know, beneath these parameters. So let's go ahead and code the if statement. The if statement starts off with an if. Inside the brackets, we're going to put something. What are we going to put? We are going to code fizz for multiples of 3 console.log. Oh my god! So we want to code inside here if the number is a multiple of 3, print fizz. Oh my god, what do we do? We're going to take our variable, I, right? And then we're going to put in this little thing that looks like a mosquito nose and eyeballs, which is the Modulus Operator. And we're going to put 3, because that's our first one, right? The multiples of 3. So I'll show you this, I'll go through this, but let's code it out. If I modulus 3 is equal to 0, we are going to do something. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to console.log fizz, aren't we? Console.log fizz! Don't forget the semicolon. Okay. So this is what this little guy is saying. This is the supplemental protein of this problem. If this variable is divisible by 3, when divided by 3 rather, has a remainder of 0, print fizz. Okay? So you can just do a little mind experiment. If 3 is divided by 3, what's the remainder? 0. So the first one is going to be printed fizz is going to be the number 3. And then 6, and then 9, and then 12. That wasn't so painful, right? So now we got that one cranked out. I'm just going to somehow annotate that that's been completed. Actually, probably an X. Better. And then let's go on to our next one. It's going to be the same thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy, do a little paste-a-roo. And the multiple is going to be 5. So if I divided the variable here, I, is divided by 5, and there's a remainder of 0, it's going to print now buzz. All right, cool. But there is one thing we need to add, which is else up here. Else if. We're going to add another else if, because as you see, it just goes on and on. See, we have one more exception to go through. That's complete. Console.log fizzbuzz for multiples of 3 and 5. Okay. So this is going to be 3. We'll keep it sequential here. If that is that. And then we're going to add the and sign because we want 3 and 5 to apply to this. So we'll just go, I'm a big proponent of copying and pasting. I mean, why not? Work smarter, not harder. Okay, but now we need to fix that, which is going to be fizzbuzz. And then finally, first of all, X that out. So these 3 are complete, but now we need to log the other numbers that aren't multiples of 3, 5, and 3 and 5. Okay, so that's going to be our last one. It's going to be outside of this bracket, and it's simply going to be else console.log. We're going to log our variable as it iterates, again, iterates 1 through 100. Now, there's a good possibility I've completely screwed this up, so let's open up our developer tools here, our console. Let's go ahead, copy and paste, run the damn thing, and look at that. Where in the world is my fizzbuzz? Uh-oh. I've done something wrong. Why is this not doing that? I'm actually glad this happened because this is what's going on. These first conditions here are catching everything. So there's not going to be an exception that prints fizzbuzz. All of these are being caught before it even gets an opportunity to do this. So what we're going to do, because we want to get some fizzbuzz action, I'm just going to go like this. I'm going to put it at the top of the stack here. So I'll give it some breathing room. Now notice this still has an else if on it. I'm going to clean that up. I'm going to get that out of there, and that's going to be our leading if, and then we're going to put an else right there. This should solve our woes. Yeah, I probably gave a little room there. And then we'll do this. A little bit of magic here. Ba-boom, ba-boom. And it looks like we have liftoff. So it's printing 1, 2, and instead of 3, it print fizz. 4, 5, print buzz. Perfect, perfect. 6, which is a multiple of 3, print fizz. 9, a multiple of 3, printed fizz, and then 10 was buzz, and then of course our first fizz buzz is going to be 15, and our next fizz buzz, as you could probably imagine or compute, is going to be 30. We'll go down to 45, just check to see our computer isn't broken, and then 75 should be here somewhere, right there, fizz buzz, and some buzzes and fizzes. The interesting thing about the solution is that this isn't the most optimal way of solving it. Yeah, it took me a long time to go through it and code it, and there was, I probably would have failed the interview because I didn't have the 3 and 5 up here. But there's also a lot better ways to optimize the solution. So if you're feeling particularly nerdy, you can experiment with making this smaller, more compact, more beautiful. Insert lovely adjective here. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Stay tuned, subscribe, like, comment, you know the drill. Keep this channel alive. If you like what you saw, you believe in liberating free information, support me on Patreon. It really helps. Even $1 really helps a lot. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you in the next video.